Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Rockies Daily. I'm your host, Scott Ayers, where we're talking all things Colorado Rockies. And, folks, we got a lot to talk about. I'm recording this 5-10 minutes after the Rockies just had another massive rally, another game where they score 5 runs late in a game and are able to close the deal in the ninth inning. It was a game that felt like a roller coaster. My notes for this show changed like 4 or 5 different times. At first, I was thinking, hey, you know what? Maybe this is a show. There's a lot going on in the baseball world. Maybe we'll talk about that. And then, okay, look, Kyle Freeland, bad start. Maybe we need to talk about that. And then we had the late game heroics. And that really needs to be the focus of the show because, look, it can be really easy to hammer home obviously the bad pitching that we've seen. It's important to be addressed. It's important to be talked about. But it's also important to talk about how this lineup has just continued to give us life and us as in Rockies fans. And we have just seen a lot of different guys contribute. We talked about how, these couple series versus the Giants and the Angels are a great opportunity for the Rockies. There was some hope that maybe it'd be a great opportunity for the pitching staff. Hasn't necessarily been the case, but the lineup has taken full advantage of that in this game too. Look, it felt a little bleak early. Maybe not fully, just because the Rockies really had base runners in about every inning of this game. And that gives you a little bit of confidence because it's like, hey, and this is also against Soriano, who is one of the better pitchers in baseball, right? He came into this game with a sub 2.5 ERA. The Rockies are able to get 2 runs off of him. He had 7 walks in this game, 3 hits, 7 walks, and one of the early storylines. Look, Kyle Freeland gives up a massive spot in the 3rd inning. And it would have been really easy to talk about that. And then in the next inning, the Rockies have the bases loaded. Tyler Freeman strikes out, and then Hunter Goodman lines out in the 4th. And it just felt like one of those moments of, gosh, we've seen this story so many times where the Rockies have a bunch of base runners. They're not able to get the job done. And then really, Soriano comes out after 4 2/3, and it was that 7th inning, right? So not much going in the 5th or the 6th, or excuse me, the 8th inning, not the 7th. But in that 8th inning, it was awesome. I mean, and it felt like the 8th and the 9th almost felt the same for the Rockies, for the lineup. We'll talk a little bit about the pitching, but for the lineup, because Kyle Karros had a massive double. And when he notches that double in the 8th inning, it really felt like, okay, this feels like another opportunity for the Rocks to rally, because there were no outs at that point. They're down 2, and you've got the top of the order. Jake McCarthy draws a walk, which was big time. Tyler Freeman gets hurt. He has a foul tip right to his shin or his foot. And it's like, oh gosh, what is this guy gonna do? And then he has a massive single that drives in Karros. McCarthy goes to second, and then Hunter Goodman with a 3-run bomb to give the Rockies the lead, 8-6, bottom of the 8th. And then we go to the trust tree. I've talked about on the show. There's a small trust tree of relievers that I trust for the Colorado Rockies. Jaden Hill, trust tree. He might be in charge of the board of the trust tree. Who's allowed in, who's allowed out. And, man, he did not represent the trust tree well. Just pitches a 1/3 of an inning. And what killed him, doesn't give up a hit, but 2 walks, man. This has been killer for the bullpen. They just lose control. And that's exactly what happened. 2 walks. Soler triples to tie the game. Senzatella, though, gets out of the jam. And then we go to the 9th. And it's once again Kyle Karros starting things off in the ninth inning against Kirby Yates, and then Jake McCarthy. What would most likely be a single for most guys, it's a double for Jake McCarthy. Second and third, TJ Rumfield with the sac fly. And then Senzatella closes the door in the ninth inning. It was funny. Ninth inning, runner on first. This is how the ninth inning went. First pitch, ground up. Second pitch, a dribbler up the middle for a base hit. And then you have Suri, who's already hit the grand slam in this one. And just like that, my MLB TV cuts out. I say, what has just happened? I'm able to reconnect. And the Rockies force a double play that gets challenged, is upheld. And just like that, the Rockies have another big time win. And you have to, we're obviously going to, tip our caps to a few guys. Hunter Goodman absolutely deserves it. I think it's been fair to criticize him for the month of May that he had. He definitely struggled at times, but he's come on so strong late. And I think the biggest thing is, how is he going to be productive with runners in scoring position in moments that you need him to produce? And now you've had 2 games in the span of a week where without his hitting, the Rockies absolutely lose. And instead, it's another clutch 3-run bomb. And in this case, it was to give the Rockies a lead. And although they don't win off of it, it's an obvious game changer that just completely, can set the tone for the rest of his season. And so for Hunter Goodman, and for him to not only have this moment, right, with 2 straight games, but it's a fact that there is also redemption in the game alone because of the 4th inning, having the line out, and then coming back up to the plate with another opportunity and capitalizing. That was big for Hunter Goodman, and you just love to see him not striking out in those situations, which he has been a bit prone to do at times. Maybe not just in clutch time, but in general. And so for him to have that at bat and really make a huge difference is huge. It goes without saying, but it's so needed, and it was just one hit of the game, and it couldn't have come at a better time. It's also why batting average isn't the same stat that we talk about, right? Like, the guy's batting 270 but is not able to drive in big time runs. The guy batting 230 but is knocking in guys, is able to have a lot of pop, is going to be more valuable. And Hunter Goodman showed that today. But you obviously still want to see him raise that productivity just a little bit. But we're not here to complain about Hunter Goodman. We're here to praise him. That was a clutch time at bat. But the thing is, I could have made that second slot about like 6 or 7 different guys in this lineup. Ultimately, I could have even made it about Kyle Karros, who had a phenomenal game. And we talk about the rally rocks. He really starts both rallies. He has the double in the 8th, and he has the single in the 9th. Huge, huge game from Kyle Karros. Jake McCarthy, dude, he has been awesome. He's been great. Like, there's just no denying it. Jake McCarthy, 2 for 4 in this. He's batting .288, and he is also providing just so much speed on the base path. We talked about it. If you have the chance, you need, and maybe more guys can get a double with, his at bat in the 9th. But man, he pushes things, and you watch on the broadcast, it's like, there's no way. There's no way. And with McCarthy, it's just elite speed that I don't really know. I know they've got some serious speed, but this is on another level, to a point where they really haven't had anyone with this type of speed in a long time. So great game from Jake McCarthy. And then, of course, TJ Rumfield comes in for Tyler Freeman, who gets hurt in the 8th. What does Rumfield do? His only at bat of the game is a sac fly. It's all you need, and it's what we've talked about. So many times in these situations, these Rockies batters are trying to do too much, and they strike out, and they strike out, ground out, right? Like, they're just not giving these base runners an opportunity to score. And TJ Rumfield did exactly that. Just Kyle Karros, this is a side tangent, and maybe I've missed something, but his running speed, that's going to be my objective for Kyle Karros, because he's obviously, for the offseason, obviously great defensively. He's shown, hey, look what my bat can do. That brother, we need him to maybe, I don't know, just run some laps around the diamond, because both of his scoring runs, like, they were closer calls than what it felt like they needed to be. Side tangent, doesn't really matter. You can disagree with me. Even Sterling Thompson goes 2 for 4. Troy Johnson goes 2 for 5. Yeah, I mean, what a great performance from this lineup. 10 hits, 9 runs. They continue to stay just red hot. And I'm telling you, this show is way more fun to record after a win, and a win like this, because I'm telling you, after the 4th inning, I was just sad boy hour typing out, oh gosh, is this the end of Kyle Freeland? Blah, blah, blah. And look, it's not a great line for Kyle Freeland. We'll quickly note that. But he is able to go 5 2/3. Does give up 5 on 7 hits. But man, if you're able to remove just that terrible cutter in the 3rd, you're probably not looking at a grand slam there. And it just, the point of that is just, if you can limit the damage, you're probably cutting the runs in half by the Angels. But he's just not limiting damage right now. It's like, do you cut the red wire, which means explode, or the green wire, which means safe? He's like, brother, we're blowing this place up. And that's what he's done his last few outings. It just has not been favorable for Freeland. We'll talk more about him in a future episode, but we focus on the Rally Rocks. We focus on the dubs, because you know what? In a year that's difficult, we're going to focus on the wins when we can get them. And then finally, let's talk about the newest member of the Colorado Rockies, TJ Shook. At least I should say at the major league level. He's going to make his MLB debut, though. He's the 28-year-old, has been called up. Agnos designated for assignment. Makes a lot of sense. We just talked about Agnos. He's really struggled lately, and it just makes sense to send him down. Wellington Herrera, though, put on the 60-day IL. He will need Tommy John. So it's like some fun news. Hey, here's this new face. Surprise. By the way, one of your hopeful relievers has a season-ending injury. So that's kind of the payoff, the pros and the cons here. But look, for Shook, he's 6'4", so he's got a big frame, righty, pitched at South Carolina, was drafted in 2020, and has been really, really solid. Really, the last 2 years at the minor league level. AAA, 2.86 ERA, and this is over a big sample size of 28 1/3 innings, right? So this isn't like he's pitched 3 innings and we don't actually know what he's capable of. He's got some stuff. I will say he doesn't have a high velocity, 92.7 mile an hour on his sinker. That's below major league level. He's going to use a sinker, a cutter, and a changeup. He does have about 5 or 6 pitches, though, that he uses. So fits that Alan Leichman mold of being able to have multiple different things. That sinker that we saw so many different guys use, just because of it being able to cut out some of the limitations at Coors Field. You would like to see a little bit higher velocity. But still, this is a guy that you just hope can make it at the major league level, and he has an opportunity, right? Like some clubs, you might get called up for a cup of coffee and you're done. For the Colorado Rockies, I mentioned our trust tree. It's small. Jaden Hill on the board to prove whoever wants to be a part of it. And Jaden Hill, look, buddy, your case isn't case closed either. But look, the Rockies need arms. They need effective arms, and they need guys that can be productive. And so if you're a young reliever or a guy trying to make an impact at the major league level, this is a great opportunity. It is as low stakes as they come. Now, that isn't to say you aren't going to be in some high-pressure situations, because even though this team is 14, 15 games under 500, if you're in a situation like we saw tonight where you're up a run or you're up 2 runs and you're trying to hold a lead or you're trying to notch in a save, you will be expected to get that job done. And that's obviously a given, but still, for Shook, it's a great opportunity. Obviously hope he just dominates and the Rockies can find another reliever that they can trust in. But we'll just have to wait and see. And maybe he'll get an opportunity in this series against the Angels. I wouldn't be surprised. They are running through arms like crazy. Michael Lorenzen's on the mound, so maybe he'll surprise us, though, and go 7, and we won't see Shook. Regardless, that's besides the point. That does it for another Rockies Daily. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a comment, a like. Do whatever the heck you want to do. Just get down in the comments section. But thank you so much for tuning in. Really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I will see you tomorrow.